The floorboards in our new house always creaked in a way that felt like they were trying to tell me something. I'd been renovating this old Victorian for months, peeling back layers of time-faded wallpaper, ancient newspapers stuffed in walls for insulation. But I never expected to find a story waiting for me, hidden right under my feet. It happened on a Tuesday. I was wrestling with a particularly stubborn floorboard in the attic, a space I'd been saving for last. The wood was warped, and as I finally pried it loose with a groan, I saw it, tucked between the joists, covered in a century's worth of dust, was a small, leather-bound book. A diary. My heart did a little flutter. As a history lover, this was a treasure. The leather was cracked and dry, and a faded ribbon held it shut. I carefully carried it downstairs, my hands trembling slightly. Who did it belong to? What secrets did it hold? I sat at the kitchen table, the afternoon sun streaming in, and gently untied the ribbon. The first page was dated June 10th, 1923. The handwriting was elegant, a looping cursive that belonged to a woman named Laura. She wrote about the house, her new husband, her dreams for the future. Her words painted a vivid picture of life 100 years ago. For the next few hours, I was completely lost in her world. I read about her garden, the town gossip, her joy at discovering she was pregnant. I felt like I knew her. Her voice was so clear, so full of life and hope. The entries were daily, a faithful record of her existence within these same walls. I followed her through the seasons of 1923, the birth of her son, William, the challenges of a harsh winter, the simple pleasures of a summer evening on the porch. The pages turned, and time flew by. But then, as I got deeper into the diary, the tone began to shift. Around the autumn of 1924, Alara's entries grew strange. She mentioned unsettling dreams, shadows that moved in the corners of her eyes, a feeling of being watched. She wrote about a chill in the house that no fire could warm. Her cheerful prose was replaced by a sense of creeping dread. She described sounds in the night whispers that seemed to come from the walls themselves. Her husband, she wrote, thought she was just tired, stressed from being a new mother. He tells me it's just the old house settling. One entry read, but I know it's more. The house is waking up. My own skin began to crawl as I read. I was sitting in that very house. I looked around the quiet kitchen, suddenly aware of every creak and groan of the old structure. I told myself it was just the power of suggestion, the spooky story getting to me. I was just reading the diary of a lonely, imaginative woman from a long time ago. I kept reading, compelled to know what happened to her. The entries became more frantic, more fragmented. She wrote about seeing a figure, a tall, thin man in a dark suit, standing at the edge of the woods behind the house. She saw him again and again, always in the distance, always watching. She became convinced he wasn't real, a figment of her unraveling mind. Then the diary stopped. The last entry was dated November 5th, 1924. It was a short, desperate scribble. "He's at the door. William is crying. I can't. He knows my name." And that was it. The rest of the pages were blank. A cold shiver went down my spine. What happened to Alara and her baby? Did she run away? Did something terrible happen? The historical records for the town were spotty, but I could find no further trace of her or her family. It was as if they had simply vanished from existence. I put the diary down, my mind reeling. The sun had set, and the house was now filled with long, deep shadows. For the first time since I moved in, I felt a genuine sense of fear. The story felt too real, too close. I tried to shake it off, telling myself it was a 100-year-old tragedy that had nothing to do with me. I spent the next week trying to forget about it, focusing on the renovation. But the story of Alara haunted me. Every creak of the floorboards sounded like a footstep. Every shadow seemed to hold a shape. I started having trouble sleeping, my dreams filled with images of a woman I had never met and a man in a dark suit. One evening, unable to resist, I picked up the diary again. I flipped through the familiar pages, her life story now etched into my memory. But as I reached the end, past their last chilling entry, my thumb brushed against something. 2 pages were stuck together, right at the very back. My heart hammered in my chest. I hadn't noticed this before. With painstaking care, I worked my fingernail between the pages, gently separating them. They were stuck fast, as if with moisture, but they finally peeled apart. There was writing on the final page. The handwriting was different. It wasn't Alara's elegant script. It was Haggett scratched into the paper, as if written in a desperate hurry. And it wasn't old. The ink was fresh. A dark, modern blue. My breath caught in my throat. I couldn't process what I was seeing. It felt impossible, a violation of all logic. The entry was just a few lines. A single sentence, followed by a name, and a date. The sentence read, "I see you found it." The date was tomorrow's date, October 27th, and below it, my name was written. My name, scrawled in that angry, fresh ink. Time stopped. The air in the room grew thick and cold. I stared at the page, my name staring back at me from a 100-year-old book. It couldn't be real. This had to be a prank, a sick, elaborate joke. But who? How? I live alone. No one else has been in this house. No one can found the diary. My hands were shaking so hard I dropped the book. It landed on the floor with a soft thud. I backed away from it, my eyes wide, my mind screaming. The whispers Alara wrote about, I could almost hear them now, swirling in the silence of the house. The feeling of being watched was suddenly overwhelming. I ran to the window and looked out at the woods behind the house, the same woods Alara had described. My gaze scanned the tree line, searching the deepening twilight. And then I saw him, just for a second. A tall, thin figure in a dark suit, standing motionless at the edge of the trees, watching the house. Watching me. I have the diary here, right next to me. The last page is still there. My name. Tomorrow's date. It's almost midnight now, which means tomorrow is only minutes away. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if I'm losing my mind like Alara did, or if the history of this house is trying to repeat itself. All I know is that I'm terrified. The house isn't settling. It's waking up. And I think it knows my name. Thanks for watching, everyone. I don't know what else to say. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe for more. Stay safe out there.